so welcome to my online guitar lesson series. It's been a while since I put one of these videos up due to moving house and work getting in the way of things, so hopefully now I'm settled and can get a few more videos to come up a bit more frequently. But for today's one, we're just going to have a bit of a look at the technique of string skipping. So string skipping is a very common technique in rock and metal genres, and it's basically where we would look to just, well, jump over strings, as it says in the title. For example, one of the patterns we're going to look at today is based around a major scale. Now, instead of playing the scale straight up and down like that, the idea is that I would pick and choose and jump between them. So I might start on the top, skip a string, and then I can choose where to go from there. I could come back on myself and skip again, or I could just continue to skip down. It's really up to you. The idea is that this picking hands is going to be very, very tight in alternate picking, legato picking, whichever you prefer, but the idea is that it's a very smooth changeover between each string and we don't end up catching any of our other strings and getting some unwanted distortion, such as stuff like that. So the technique is very, very heavy on the picking hands. It's mainly, I'm going to talk about the alternate picking today, and if you're a beginner with string skipping, I say alternate picking is probably the best way to do it. So we're going to have a look over a couple of exercises and start with the pentatonic, and then we're going to work our way through into the major and minor scale, and then finally the legato patterns. So first of all, the scales that we're going to use then. Pentatonic blues. And the major. And lastly the minor. So the minor will be skipping a couple of notes, so it won't sound like a straight scale. That's mainly just for the purpose of doing these exercises. And all of these ones are going to be in the key of A. So if you do want to take away any of these exercises, try them out, which I would recommend you do, is actually practice along to any backing tracks on YouTube, look for either an A major or A minor and try some of these along with them. That way it will just help you take the technique you've learned, take the patterns that you've learned and go into practice from today's session and just apply them in context. Also, playing along to tunes actually helps you keep a bit more time as well, gets your rhythm a bit more focused, and can put pressure on yourself to actually achieve it. So let's get started then. First one's going to be the pentatonic. So on the first one, the pentatonic, we only have 2 picks on each string. So the pattern is simply going to be just down and then up. Skip the string, down, up, back up on the string you just skipped, down, up, and then continue that pattern. So getting slightly harder now, moving away from the 2 note per string pentatonic into the majors and minors, which are going to be using the 3 notes per string. Now I quite like these patterns because they're very nice, big stretch patterns, great for the hand, great for your picking, great for your fretting technique as well as your picking technique. But can be slightly harder on the actual picking method because we're no longer just going down, up and skipping the string. I'm going to be going down, up, down, and then skipping the string. So there's a nice pattern on here. So let's have a closer look at that, see how that works. In both the major and the minors, we have 3 picks per string. So we're still going to just continue with the alternate picking of down, up, down.
and keep that pattern going. So as you go onto the next string, pick up, down, up, all the way down to the bottom. So this is going to apply into the string skipping as well. We're going to pick down, up, down, skip the string, up, down, up, back onto the string, and you're ready to do that downstroke.
So really there's 4 ways that I like to practice these kind of string skipping techniques just to help the picking end. And these are ways you can take away actually just into practicing scales as well. And the reason I like doing 4 different ways is because it confuses my mind a bit, makes me think a bit more about what I'm playing. So first one that I would do is what I call forwards, where I run up the scale doing my string skipping, which we'll have a look at in a minute, and the pattern just goes up and up each time. The second way then is backwards, which is once you get up to the top of that scale, we just run backwards there, please excuse the wrong note. The third way then is where we get a little bit more complicated, and it's where I like to reverse it, where instead of going forwards up the scale, we're still going to be moving down the strings, but we're going to be descending on each string, for example. So that does make things a little bit harder just in the mind there. And if you can guess it, we're just going to flip that around and run back down the scale, but this time ascending on each string. So those are my 4 ways that I like to run up and down these, and like I say, you can use them just in your scale practices as well. If you're new to those patterns of the major and minor, I would recommend you just learn those scales first before trying the technique, because it's a lot more easy to actually have this theory in the head and then practice the technique rather than try and learn the scale at the same time as focusing on your picking. So if you are new to it, please do run through the scale first and then try these following exercises now. If you're getting lost looking through them, don't worry, in the link below there is a PDF file which you can download from my website, and that'll have all of these exercises on them there. So print that off, have a look, or if you've got a good ear, follow along.
So we got the major scale forwards, and the major scale backwards. Speed. Major scale reversed. And backwards. And to speed. Speed.
So there you go, and that's pretty much all the exercises that I like to do just to practice my string skipping. Obviously there's loads of places you can apply this to. Then you can apply it to any scale, you can apply it to little lick lines, so you can get some really nice kind of ones like which is a very kind of generic metal one to do. So there's loads of different ways you can have a look at. Most of the kind of lines I like to have a look at before were from like some of the more metal artists, like down the Jeff Loomis line, Rusty Cooley. So if you're looking for examples of it, great examples there. But depending on what level you're at, do take your time. That's my best advice I can give with this. Don't try and rush into it with the picking. I know it's a very big temptation. I see many students do it where they just want to get to that speed straight away, and it won't happen instantly. Take it in stages. Learn your scale first, learn your picking pattern, and then slowly build up the speed. It's better to get it correct at a slow speed and then take your time to build it up, rather than develop a poor technique and in the future having to go back, slow yourself down and go again. Trust me, I've been there. That's exactly what happened to me with a few techniques from when I was younger. I like to rush into things and then found myself having some very sloppy techniques, and it's only been the past few years I've been looking at my technique whilst teaching other students, and I've had to slow myself down and go back to basics again, solid up that technique, and then apply it back into what I know. So do take your time with it. Do your scale, do your picking, start and go through your stages of speed. So start nice and slow. Make sure you're picking hands, builds up that muscle memory to get used to it, and then over time, just build up the speed. Also, give the legato a go as well once you've got the alternate picking down. And that will be really handy for your fretting hand there. So feel free to comment, any questions, drop me a line and things like that. Thanks again for all the support that you've given me so far, and I'll see you next time. Thanks guys.